Okay, let me show you how this works here. Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Because, y'all is my YouTube peeps. And today, your old pal, the Reverend Pastor Sean Murphy, is not talking about the Bible necessarily, even though all things are Bible. But let's take a look at South Carolina. We're on the University of Wisconsin radar here. And look along the coast and up above the coast there. And look at the scalar waves from the next rad. They're coming out of South North Carolina and they're shooting across. I'm sure you can see that. Kind of looks like little X-rays or something from a ray gun shooting across. Now, those are used in weather manipulation. And I was going to make a video earlier this morning. I'm kind of sad I didn't because there were some pretty spectacular storms right along the coast, right where you see the rays going. And over here in the Gulf, you can see where they manufactured the storm. They have WSAC, which is wet surface air coolers, and these air coolers they produce clouds, and they get up in the atmosphere and they mix with the chemtrails that are being sprayed constantly, and they're fed. And look here in the panhandle of Florida, you can see some more rays coming out here. Uh, Shooting down south. And when they first started making this particular line of storms, it was going northeast, but it was going much more northern towards the north. I can talk. They're going more towards the north, and they wanted to pull them more eastward. And I believe it was faster moving than what they had suspected, and it was headed north. And they didn't want that. They wanted to pull it east. Here in central Georgia, we got a pretty good dose of it during the afternoon. And earlier today, between Georgia and Alabama, they had a whole bunch of these NexRad towers shooting off the base. And and I see they're still making stuff here on the south. Uh, but that ray that you see there in South Carolina, this is the second time. Earlier this morning, they were doing the same thing, trying to pull these clouds more in an eastern direction because they were headed too far north. And it worked like a charm. This bunch of clouds here uh, created some spectacular storms, and they're doing it again. And as you can see, it's working. It's pulling it more towards the coast and going to give them some more storms. This is your weather warfare. This is what they're doing. The sky is no longer neutral. I believe it's lost its ability to make its own clouds, so we constantly feed the atmosphere now. We, meaning humanity, we are constantly feeding the atmosphere with moisture, and then they hit it with the heavy metals, and they pull them and push them with these different waves, frequencies, and they pretty much put weather wherever they feel like putting weather. They can make a system just sit if they want to. This spinny system that you see right here over the Midwest has just been kind of sitting there, and they've been flooding all the prime farming area. They've been flooding that out for weeks, and so that's going to lead into food costing a whole lot more, and there being kind of a shortage because this season's looking pretty desperate as far as feeding the nation. And one more thing I wanted to point out is right here in Michigan. Now this ray shooting up through Michigan, that thing has been there for months and it hasn't moved, and they've been shooting it in the same place. And just keep an eye on Michigan because I mean it's not looking good. They've been shooting that same frequency across Michigan. Uh, Geez, seems like for about 4 or 5 months now, and it hasn't stopped. So that's gonna turn into a mess. And Pennsylvania, home of our beloved Starlin, um, they can't get a break. All they're getting is rain, 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 gray skies, white skies, and New England's getting hammered. And this is all by man's hand. And it just ties in with what we read in Matthew 24 and Mark chapter 13, where it says that these are the beginnings of the birth pangs of a new age. There'll be earthquakes in diverse places, and there'll be uh, famines and all this. And it says these are the beginnings of sorrows. That's birth pangs. And as you know about birth pangs, they come closer and closer together, and they become more and more severe. All right, so this is you say, oh, this is terrible, and people are losing their homes and people are suffering, and yeah, I can't think of a time when people weren't suffering, but this is all part of God's plan of salvation. Some people have to hit rock bottom before they'll even acknowledge that there is a God, and uh, and it's just one of those things. But check out South Carolina, man. It's practically a pinwheel. I mean, the way these rays are shooting out all over the place, and it's not looking too good for the Carolinas. But we'll see what else is going on with this system. But that's all I had for you. I just wanted to point that out, and God bless you. And dig into your Bibles, folks, because all this stuff is written down. It should come as no surprise to the adroit amongst us. Okay, so we'll talk again.